you got into kind of being a con artist.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
You know, this was back in the 60s. I was 16 years old. My parents divorced. A judge asked me in court which parent I wanted to live with. I didn't want to make that decision, so I ran away. I ended up on the streets in New York. A lot of kids, unfortunately, in the 60s ran away, but they got into Haight-Ashbury, the hippie scene, the drug scene. I ended up in New York, no job, and I quickly realized being creative, no one's going to do anything with me if they think I'm 16. So I had the ability to look older, so I changed and altered my driver's license by 1 digit, which changed me to be 10 years older, or 26. And then I started writing checks, and I found it very easy to go in and cash a check. And then I realized, hey, if I could get this pilot's uniform and then walk in the bank as a pilot, they're always going to cash my check for me. And one thing led to another, and everything I kind of fell into. I always said if I premeditated it, it would have never happened. And I think the fact that I was an adolescent and I had no fear of being caught, I had no fear of consequences, I was able to get away with a lot of things that I got away with. I always felt that I'd been older, 21, 25, I would have rationalized and say, you can't pretend to be a doctor and work in this hospital. You can't go to the bar and take the bar and go be a lawyer. But I think because I was a kid, I said, yes, I can do it, you know, and I did it.
What do you think it was that made you so good at it and able to get away with it for so long?
Well, what's interesting to me is it first started off for me as survival. How am I going to survive? I'm a kid on the streets of New York. I have to get creative. Then it became people are chasing me. So how do I stay ahead of all these people that are chasing me and trying to figure out how they're trying to catch me? And then towards the end, it became almost a game, you know, and I finally stopped doing it at 21, and I moved to a little town in southern France. But I was always aware they're going to catch me sooner or later, and eventually they did. I think that the more you did it, the better you got at it, the more confident were that you could get away with it. But by the same token, as you mature from an adolescent to an adult, then your conscience starts to bother you more, and you start to say to yourself, this isn't the right way to live, you know. For example, I would only write checks to like banks and corporations, but then I got to where I asked myself, hey, I hope this teller doesn't lose her job, because I really kind of talked her into cashing the check. She shouldn't have cashed it, so I hope they don't fire her because of what I did. Those thoughts started to come as the older I got, the more mature I got. You know, I was raised in a good family in a good Catholic school. All those things came back to haunt me and say, this isn't a good thing to do. So I think maturity helped change my life a lot.
Can you just talk about what it was like watching the movie Catch Me If You Can?
It was very surreal, but not only watching the movie because I didn't have anything really to do with it, but also watching the Broadway musical and take the story into a Broadway musical, into a music and dance. Both were very surreal, and it basically was like watching your life. You're sitting there watching your life be played out in front of you, everything that's happened to you. You know, I look back on my life now at 71, and I know that people are fascinated by the things I did as a teenager 50 years ago. But to be honest with you, I look back on my life and I'm just wake up every day amazed that I did those things, that I went to jail and paid my debt. But I've been married to my one and only wife for 43 years. I've brought 3 wonderful sons into the world. My oldest boy is an FBI agent. He's celebrating 14 years in the Bureau. I have done this all my life. I've got to educate 2 generations of FBI agents. I've gone out to help people. Only in a country like America can you do something like I did, pay your debt back, and go out and start all over again, and people allow you that second chance. So I'm grateful for that every day, and I'm grateful that I can do something in return for what people have done for me.